Get Sweaty with Leddy, a wellness program about pain management.
Welcome, everyone. It is time for another pain management update for my current situation that I'm dealing with, and I figure it's about as good as time as any to do that in the sauna with a little wellness component. So it's not quite a solo episode over here, just a little update because, like I've mentioned before, I've been going through it for quite some time, and I am feeling good finally about where my progress is going. It's actual progress now that I've seen over the past week to couple weeks since I've taken advantage of some of these free ways to fight pain. I mentioned about eliminating sugar a while ago and all the sweets, and that's been huge for me. But another tough thing for me that I have cut out for the time being is alcohol. And it was recommended to me by a number of people that I was seeing that even though in small doses with what I'm dealing with, it's necessary to take a little break. And my body has taken a significant beating over the years, as you know, from the knee surgeries, the back, the hip, head injuries, and all of that. So when I'm experiencing an injury and I'm not able to do my normal routine, and there's other stressors in life that are contributing to said non-routine, that's gonna show more in me than someone that has not had so much pain in their lives. So this is just it's a reminder for me to just, sometimes you really gotta go for a full reset when you're trying to move forward. And the toe incident, kind of healing now, the toe incident I feel like was kind of meant to happen in a sense because it really shut me down. Talk about total reset. I was trying to do limited things while I was experiencing my body soreness, and with my knee, I couldn't really do much. I was able to do some planks, but the strength that I had was just completely sapped. So I wasn't able to do much. And with this wound here on my foot that I couldn't open up through, planks by doing that motion, totally shut me down. I have not done anything for strengthening my body in 3 weeks to the day. And it's actually, it's more than that, because 3 weeks to the day from just stretching or doing planks, like the most minimal thing I could possibly do. But it's been months since I've been into my normal routine, and it's finally finally progressing out of that, we'll say. I mentioned that I got some blood work done recently, and the initial results came back that I didn't have mono or I didn't have Lyme's disease, but I was suggested that I see a rheumatologist. So I made an appointment for a rheumatologist, and this is kind of a interesting story because I called based on a referral, and they were getting me set up for an appointment with a rheumatologist. There's going to be incredible fluctuations in my body between now and then that I need answers now. So they were able to get an appointment middle of May, so slightly better. And just as I was finishing the appointment, locking it in, the call dropped. So I had to call back, and I was, got back on the line. I was explain the situation. I was making an appointment with a rheumatologist. It was going to be with this doctor on this day. Would you please be able to take care of that for me? And the person I'm on the phone with goes, well, that's not a rheumatologist. I'm like, well, I don't know. I mean, I said rheumatology, they're saying rheumatologist. Well, they actually we're trying to make an appointment with an endocrinologist. And I'm like, well, that's not what I'm supposed to do. And they're like, yeah, so sorry for the mistake. We can get you into a rheumatologist next week. And I'm like, so if there would have been a drop call and I would have taken this appointment, I would have waited until mid-June just to see the wrong person, and I would have been able to see a rheumatologist within a week. That's a pretty massive clerical error, and a prime example of why I try to avoid these doctor visit situations. You never know what you're going to get. So I was grateful for that error, and that I was able to see the rheumatologist. I saw the rheumatologist on Monday, March 31st. I was also able to see a functional nutritionist on the same day. With the rheumatology appointment, I'm supposed to bring my supplements, provide all this information, and I figured why not double that up with a functional nutritionist. And the interesting part about the functional nutritionist was I was able to get an appointment pretty quickly, and then they gave me a lot of information to fill out in the coming days. So I had to give at least 4 days example of what I'm putting into my body. From ounces to water to the seasonings on my food. I was supposed to track all that stuff, and when I'm going to the bathroom and my bowel movements and my sleep and all of that. And I found that interesting too. So I'm supposed to go see a doctor, a rheumatologist, an expert, and they just want to know where my pain hurts, whereas a functional nutritionist is trying to get all this kind of information to figure out what's going on. So the rheumatologist is saying 6 months with no alcohol. And I'm like, man, I don't think you know what I do. And I tried to explain that to him and, got it down to take it month by month. The writing was on the wall that, alcohol is not good for my situation, my inflammation. Inflammation is swelling of the muscles and joints, and alcohol is a significant muscle irritant. So if I'm having muscle soreness, alcohol is the worst thing to put in my body. So I am 3.5 weeks now without a drop, not even tasting our new delicious beers that keep coming out and are just going right by me, making it very challenging to avoid. But that's what you got to do sometimes. You got to stay disciplined. And for me right now, no sugar and no alcohol is what I have to do to get the necessary information I need to get over this hump of pain, this pain plateau, as I mentioned earlier in my update. So I leave the rheumatologist, going over now to the functional nutritionist, get some good information. There's good conversation with her. She's asking interesting questions, just trying to get to the bottom of why this is happening. And ultimately I end up showing her my blood work, and she sees something different than the rheumatologist. She's seeing a number of things that are out of range, and she even says that the scale that the doctor was using is way too broad. It needs to be more narrow, essentially more strict on our body, so that we stay within a shorter range, because you don't want fluctuations. You definitely don't want to be out of range. But the functional nutritionist was saying that my red blood cells and my white blood cells were a little concerning, and that it could be a precursor for anemia of chronic pain, was what I was told, which is basically like chronic inflammation that just eats away at your stored nutrients. One of the other things I was low on was vitamin D. That in Minnesota here, we don't get much vitamin D. This was one of the few winters where I didn't take a trip to a warm area until around my birthday. We went to Arizona. That was the first dose of good sunshine and some vitamin D, which instantly made me feel better. And I started taking, a vitamin D supplement since this was pointed out to me, once the blood work was pointed out to me. That's one of the things that's helping me feel better. So, the functional nutritionist left me with options to do more testing, more advanced testing than blood work, to see what's going on, on the GI tract and just, everything inside of my body. So we'll see about that. It's not too expensive, but again, you can only spend so much time and money on the process. It needs to be this balance of trial and error and gathering information and trying to do what's right for your body and not have too many cooks in the kitchen, as they say. Yeah, I guess that's kind of where I'm at with my pain right now. I'm excited to keep you in the loop with everything, share what I'm doing, share my progress. I've been reluctant to videotape myself in the morning when I struggle most, just because it's such a struggle to just do the basic things until my body is moving a little bit. But I'll try to get something out there to demonstrate this weakness and pain that I've been experiencing in my body, and kind of, hopefully showcase what this new adjusted process will do for me in April and May going into summer. I'm excited to see what introducing weight training or body strength training is back into my routine, because I haven't done that for months. Lucky that, Melissa is so good about our diets and helps, steer that in the right direction, because I've been living off of the diet without much exercise the past few months, and I'm so grateful for that. So it's I'm pretty sweaty right now. I'm pretty hot. I think I need to cool off. But instead of wrapping this up, we're gonna bring in the man from behind the camera and get to know the other side of Get Sweaty with Leddy. So I'm gonna throw a little log on here, go outside in this freezing, sleety rain, and we'll be back shortly. Get sweaty, Leddy. Get sweaty, Leddy.
What's up?
Hi. Welcome. How does it feel to be over here?
This is super weird because I'm here more often than the guest. Even. Yeah, like you guys have no idea who I am, and we are breaking all production rules right now.
That's right. That's right.
Doors wide open on the outside and in sauna to make sure the cameras don't overheat. But here we are.
I should get a camera and eventually take a shot of this. This is pretty good, just a good angle.
Actually,
our POV. We'll get that at the end, but want you guys to meet Isha. We've known each other for 5 years.
How crazy is that? Yeah, coming on 5 years now.
Damn, 5 years.
Wow.
It all started when him and his partner Scott asked me to be on their show, The Soda Pod.
Yep.
Which is a beer and hockey podcast, and being a brewery owner and a hockey lifer.
Well, and Scott being from this area and Back Channel being one of his favorite breweries, he was like swooning, right? He was like, Isha, you do not know how like important this guest is. And I'm just like, no offense. I was like, it's just another brewery in Minnesota for me back home when I was doing all my other stuff. He's like, this is one of the best breweries in Minnesota. And we all connected right away.
Yeah. It was, I remember filming the first episode. It was on like Zoom.
Yeah.
I was at my house, and so I didn't actually get to meet you for a couple years in person.
The beer bowls, I remember I was blown away.
Yes.
I was hitting a different kind of bowl, but...
which we also discovered our, that only connected our bond even more, because we're both into the wonderful flower that is cannabis. Each year we would get together and we would do, at least one episode, sneak a couple in there, a few, maybe one of those years, and it was just a lot of fun. And we'd always kept in contact, and when we could do an episode and yada, yada, yada. And we did an episode, it was last spring.
Yep.
It was like, I don't even know, what was that, like April, May or something? Was it playoff time?
No, we actually it was September to preview the season. We did a flight, we did a flight series, and that was like, we upped our production game for that one.
That was good. Yeah, that was good. So then, during that episode, I had mentioned to you guys that I wanted to start a podcast about pain management, and then we scheduled another meeting down the road, and you were kind of, you were on the whole YouTube train, which I was only thinking podcast, but the YouTube concept just seemed like a way cooler, better idea, right? And that was in, September, October, and we got this thing started in December, and it's been so awesome. I can't thank you enough. I've had so much fun doing this.
This is
great. I couldn't be doing it with a better person.
Most of my clients are all online, like all the podcasts and stuff are like, Zoom camera angles, and I try to spice it up the best I can. But like being in a studio is always like just a breath of fresh air. And then having to like create our own studio kind of and work out the kinks early. Like we started this in December. We had a whole other sauna, and I mean, one of these days we should just release some of the bloopers that I've saved from those first few episodes.
Definitely.
Trying to maybe figure out how much heat these cameras can take, what mics we can use in the sauna, just like a process of we have this much time while it's heating up, which again we're breaking all production rules right now. Everything's about to melt. We kind of, I don't know, I would say within like the first 3 episodes, 2 of those being lost episodes because they were kind of trial ones. But I'd say after like the first 3-4 of us like getting into a rhythm, we have a rhythm. The guests are always super pumped once you explain like this is what we're doing. And I feel like it's not until they're in it, sitting here on the bench, having the conversations with you, doing the cold plunge, which at the end you can totally see like they're like, I get what you're doing here, and you got something good going. And every single one has told me like I'd love to come back, which is awesome.
It's been great, and that's a testament to you helping provide this Zen den, as Leaf.
I like that.
It.
Leaf, I like that.
Yeah,
that's good.
Leaf's the man.
And just meeting all the guests, and like Leaf in particular too, the man who built this, has just been, it's super cool for me on the production side in person, not just the guy in a different state, province, or country who's just doing production for a company or their brand. It's like, no, I'm getting to know everyone, and I get to be part of this process as you build this from the ground up.
Yeah, and you're not one to shy away from pain yourself.
Far from like an athlete
Right.
or an expert in that area,
but passionate
like,
about health and wellness, and
Totally.
you've been into like mountain biking, and obviously you love MMA, and you're into jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
and
so I did I grew up in Canada, but my parents really couldn't afford hockey. My mother was American, my dad Persian, so like just hockey was not on their radar. They watched it, I watched it, I grew up loving it, but like, you know, I played soccer and did martial arts. So like, yeah, huge passion for sports in general. You know, started a business in the hockey media world. I interview and cover combat sports, and I've always just taken my health seriously, other than sleep, but we'll fix that down the road. We'll get to it, but yeah, no, loved hiking. I hiked the West Coast Trail. I'll even throw a link in this, a humble plug, a link to the vlog that I taped a few years ago and talked about the West Coast Trail.
Cool.
On Vancouver Island, British Columbia, which is cool that the United States and Canada both co-maintain that trail. One of the few things that Canada and the US share these days, I imagine. But we won't get into that here. But no, and even my experience with pain, like I've had some pretty crazy injuries. I've broken more bones than I can count, but the worst one you'd think would be my collarbone, you know, skateboarding in high school, but it was actually a recent within the past decade, a mountain biking injury that I'm still dealing with, because I was starting a company at the time when I got the injury, and would have had to go into surgery and basically just take time from the office that we just got, and like in the beginning stages of building a company, a startup with a friend of mine, and I was like, I'm just gonna toughen this out and, you know, elevate it, ice it, and not get surgery. When you have a fractured ankle as a result of this, you get surgery when it's free in Canada, okay? So, and now I moved to the States, and there's no way I'm fixing this via surgery anytime soon, but Josh is giving me the wise words, and
yeah, we'll get you right.
yeah, getting me right with maybe not having to go under the knife.
But that's a perfect example of just what everyday people face. You know, you might get an injury, and then, you know, there may be a circumstance of work that overrides your thought process of, I need to heal this. You know, work comes first at that point in time, and now you're delaying it, and now you're prolonging the healing process, and likely creating compensation patterns that might even create more pain down the road that you don't even know about, and you can't trace yourself back to it because there's not a specific points where, you know, you hurt your hip, but if you have a bad ankle, on your left side, your right side is likely going to feel that down the road.
Yeah, man, everything's connected, and you know, maybe that's a reason that I'm having pain elsewhere. That's just come up not recently, but coincidentally, like a year or two after that, when I didn't deal with it, right? But you know, for the most part, for a guy who sits for a living, I am probably the most active cannabis user and, you know, person who edits videos, does YouTube and podcasts. Like, I have to move every day. I have to run. I have to hill sprint. I have to bike. I stretch every single night. So like, we kind of, you know, going back to the beginning here and how we connected, like, it was not only our love for hockey, beer, you know, all these other things outside of the health world, but like, we kind of operate on the same wavelength as far as like nutrition and things like that as well. Do we cheat and f up at times? Absolutely. We're human. We're men. But no, this is really cool to be part of a project that like I'm also passionate about, and I'm learning stuff every day. I mean, I only eat fruit and drink water in the mornings now. If I do like to have my fast until like noon, it works with me. And yeah, sometimes I'll drink just coffee with nothing in it because empty calories, your body is still thinking you're fasting, but like I chug so much water in the morning, and if I do have to eat, it's fruit because of what Carrie's told us.
Yeah,
now.
Shout out to Carrie Drink Wine.
Yeah, like that. Like I knew that, there. But that just really resonated. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it now. Like I'm not gonna put anything heavy in my body before noon, and I'm gonna drink at least, you know, half a liter of water before I have my first cup of coffee, because like I am a coffee addict. I am never gonna quit it. Like I'll quit cheese and cannabis over coffee. I'm just saying.
Bold words.
It's
coffee is damn good.
I can quit anything on the planet except for coffee. It's messed up.
It'd be hard to eliminate the hippie breakfast. You know, the coffee and weed.
I think I honestly, it would be hard. I couldn't. Like it would be the biggest challenge of my life. to just not. And I'm even talking
walk
decaf at that stage too. Like it's not even a caffeine thing. I think it's just a coffee thing.
Nice.
I recognize my addiction.
Well, hey, it's same here. You know what I mean? Me with sugar and
Krispy Kremes.
Oh man, I know. They're coming to Fridley at some point in time. I'm gonna have a donut. I'm excited about it.
We don't have them in Canada other than pop-ups.
They slay on pop-ups.
Always in front of a Walmart too, so they know their crowd.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
College kids and not as healthy folks.
I'm gonna get my camera here, take a picture of just this shot
Hell yeah,
so you can see the. Oh, I got my shoes over here. I'm gonna remove my shoes. You can't see my shoes and socks. It's a pretty big mess outside today.
It looks like where I'm from, Vancouver Island today.
So here's a good shot. Oh yeah, I got that Kuma stove in there. We'll get a selfie.
Sweet, man. Well, this is like a little behind the curtain.
Yeah, we're gonna bring Isha back into the
episode.
mix here because I know that this is only your first time seeing him, but I know you already like him, and it's only right to get him in here every once in a while, and maybe we can do guest highlights, or we can riff on talk about the inside of the things that you're not seeing, and
all these like health challenges and stuff that come up that I know like you dabble in as well. Like, dude, tag me in, coach. I'd be down to try some of these things this summer when we're kind of throwing stuff at the wall for summer content when we don't have a cold plunge. So
yeah,
if there's any like wacky but like beneficial things that we can do, and you can rope in your non-athlete producer.
Well, I think it's time. We got to throw another log on here. We're gonna shut the doors, get this thing piping hot again. Probably do a cold plunge, keep the sweat train going.
Thanks for bringing me on. It's different being on the bench, not in front of the bench, behind the bench.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah. Cheers, man. Thanks for everything that you do.